Hi, I'm a forester here. I'm back in South Carolina from my recent trip over to South Korea, and I thought I'd do a quick video just to summarize some of the knife laws over in South Korea. They're very different from here in South Carolina or in the U.S., and so I thought it'd be worthwhile just to summarize them. I tried to cover the knife laws in my Gangnam style video, but it was actually so noisy in that Johnny Rockets restaurant that I could barely hear myself think, and then the baby started crying also. I encourage you to watch that video if you get a minute or two. It's fairly short. But I did contact the U.S. Embassy actually in Seoul and try to get a copy of an English version of their Code of Laws or statutes. I ended up finding that on my own, and the only thing that I got out of it was that there was a reference to dangerous weapons, but it didn't define what a dangerous weapon is. Now, I think that's part of the confusion because it's left up to the districts, the local police districts, to define that. So the actual length of the blade is defined differently, and also whether an assisted opening or automatic opening knife is illegal or not. This is the knife, the Chris Reed Menundi, that I would have liked to have carried, especially in that video Gangnam style that I made. If you haven't watched it, do a search for Gangnam style videos and you'll find the video that I'm referring to in my video. But Gangnam, South Korea is an area that's known for style, fashion. It's sort of like the Beverly Hills of the U.S. or New York, some areas of New York. And so it's very fashionable. The Menundi would have fit right in, but actually it's an illegal knife, as I understand it, with a blade length over 6 centimeters long. It's about 6.5. This is another knife that I would have loved to have carried. It would have made a lot of sense. This is my Mecosta. It was made in Seki, Japan, so it's an oriental knife, and would have made a lot of sense to have carried it in South Korea. But the blade length is about 6.5 centimeters long, so it's just a little bit over their legal limit. This is a knife that I think I could have carried, and it's an oriental knife also, made in Japan. It's an Almar Hawk. It's a very simple knife. The blade length is just under 6 centimeters long. If you measure it up to the hilt or up to the handle, it's about 6.5. I think I could have gotten away carrying this knife. They give tourists a little bit of leeway anyway, as I understand it. But this really lacks the elegance that I was looking for, so I chose not to carry this knife. Here's another knife that I haven't shown you, but I could have carried this knife easily. This is a little Texas toothpick that I recently picked up, and the blade length is 5 centimeters. The distance to the bolster is 6 centimeters, so I easily could have carried this one, but I don't know that a Texas toothpick would have been the appropriate knife to carry in Gangnam, South Korea. Now, this is a knife that I almost carried. This is my Kershaw Scallion, and it's unique in that the cutting length of the blade is the same length as the distance up to the handle, and that's 6 centimeters long. So I easily could have carried this knife, but if you remember, there was a lot of difference of opinion on the forums as to whether an assisted opening knife was legal or not. So I chose not to carry it for that reason. Now, if you watched my Gangnam style video, you know the knife that I carried, and it was this Bokor Plus Elegance. It has a fairly short cutting surface, cutting length. It's actually 5.5 centimeters, and the distance up to the bolster is about 6.5. So I felt like that was a fairly conservative choice. It's a very stylish knife, and so I thought it went well with the topic of the video. But that's what I chose, and I hope you enjoyed that video. I'll recommend that you go back and watch it if you haven't. The laws over there are very ambiguous, and it makes it hard, as I understand, for collectors, even sword collectors that have permits. I also understand from the forums that the South Korean government monitors things like YouTube videos where collectors show their knife collections and even go in and confiscate them if they recognize a knife as not being legal over there. So you do have to be careful. I didn't want to have any unnecessary problems while I was over there. Glad to be home, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Y'all take care.